16-year-old Marcus Tate sprawls lifeless on the cracked tarmac of Dallas Regional Airport, blood pooling from his split lip, as Captain Victor Hensley, a white pilot, smirks over him, phone pressed to his ear, barking for police to haul away. This thug. Marcus clutches a crumpled flight manual, his dream of piloting shattered in one brutal shove. Hensley assumes he's a trespasser, but the boy's father is the FAA's top dog. This split-second mistake will unravel Hensley's life, leaving Marcus's future teetering on a razor's edge. What happens when power picks the wrong fight? Before we dive in, let me know where you're watching from, and if you stand for justice against prejudice, hit like and subscribe because tomorrow's episode will blow you away with more twists you won't see coming. Marcus Tate stepped off the dusty shuttle bus onto the sun-scorched pavement of Dallas Regional Airport, his sneakers crunching against loose gravel as a dry Texas wind tugged at his faded blue hoodie. At 16, he was all wiry muscle and restless energy, his dark eyes glinting with a spark that could name a jet's hum from a mile away. In his backpack, a dog-eared flight manual jostled against a notebook stuffed with sketches of throttle valves and wing flaps, each line drawn with the precision of a kid who'd spent years dreaming of cockpits instead of playgrounds. Today wasn't just any day. It was his shot, a ticket punched after his essay on flight dynamics won a national contest, earning him a spot in Lone Star Airways Youth Aviation Workshop. A real hangar, real planes, real pilots. His pulse thrummed like a prop engine as he adjusted the badge pinned to his chest. The one Carla Evans from HR had mailed him with a letter that said, "You're going places, kid." The hangar loomed ahead, a squat steel beast baking under. The noon sun, its massive doors yawning open to reveal the sleek nose of a Cessna 172 nestled inside. Marcus's lips twitched into a half smile as he crossed the threshold, the tang of oil and metal hitting his nose like a welcome mat. He was early, a habit drilled into him by his dad, James, who always said, "Show up before they expect you, son, and they'll never forget you." Carla had told him to wait here, that she'd meet him after her morning rounds. So Marcus found a corner near a workbench, dropped his bag, and pulled out his notebook. His pencil danced across the page, tracing the curve of the Cessna's wing, every stroke a love letter to the sky he swore he'd conquer one day. He barely noticed the hum of the airport around him, the clank of tools, the murmur of voices, lost in a world where he was already at the controls, banking through clouds. Outside, Captain Victor Hensley squinted through the hangar's grimy window, his jaw tightening as he wiped sweat from his brow with a calloused hand. 20 years at Lone Star Airways had carved lines into his weathered face, a map of flights and fights, and his pale blue eyes carried the kind of cold that could freeze a room. He'd been prepping for a cargo run, clipboard in hand, when he caught sight of Marcus through the glass, a black kid hood up, scribbling alone in a restricted zone. Hensley's gut twisted, a sour knot of suspicion blooming fast. He didn't see a badge or a purpose, just a hoodlum where he didn't belong. His boots thudded against the concrete as he strode toward the entrance, each step fueled by a lifetime of snap judgments he'd never questioned. This wasn't a place for kids like that, he thought. Not pilot's territory, not his territory. This hangar door rattled as Hensley shoved it wider, his shadow falling long and jagged across the floor. Marcus's pencil froze mid-line, his head snapping up as the pilot's voice boomed, sharp and jagged like a busted rotor. "What the hell are you doing in here, boy?" Hensley's words dripped with venom, the boy landing like a slap. Marcus blinked, caught off guard, his heart kicking into overdrive as he scrambled to his feet, notebook tumbling to the oily floor. I'm supposed to be here, sir," he stammered, fumbling for the badge on his chest. "I'm with the workshop. Carla Evans said I could wait." He held it up, the plastic glinting under the fluorescent lights, his name and photo clear as day. Hensley didn't even glance at it. His lip curled, a sneer twisting his features as he stepped closer, looming over Marcus like a vulture over roadkill. "Don't give me that crap," he spat, his breath sour with coffee and contempt. "You think you can sneak in here with some fake-ass pass and play pilot? This ain't your playground, thug." The slur hit Marcus like a fist, stealing the air from his lungs. He opened his mouth to protest, but Hensley was already moving, meaty hands shooting out to snatch the badge. The cord snapped against Marcus's neck, a quick sting, and Hensley flipped the ID over, barely looking before tossing it aside like trash. "Bullshit," he growled. "I've seen better fakes at a flea market." Marcus's chest tightened, panic clawing up his throat as he bent to grab his notebook, clutching it like a shield. "It's real, sir, I swear. Call Carla, she'll tell you." His voice cracked, high and desperate. But Hensley's eyes were ice, unyielding. The pilot's hand clamped down on Marcus's shoulder, fingers digging into muscle as he shoved him hard toward the open door. Marcus stumbled, his sneakers squeaking against the slick floor, and before he could catch his balance, Hensley's boot nudged him forward again, sending him sprawling onto the tarmac outside. Pain flared in his palms as they scraped the rough asphalt, a warm trickle of blood seeping from his lip, where he'd bitten it on the way down. Hensley stood over him, phone already out, his thick fingers jabbing at the screen as he barked into, "It's security. Get your asses to Hangar 3 now. We've got an intruder, some punk with a fake badge. Move it." His voice carried over the hum of jet engines in the distance, a smug edge to it as he pocketed the phone and glared down at Marcus. "You're done, kid. Should have stayed where you belong." Marcus pushed himself up, wincing, his flight manual crumpled under his knee, pages tearing as he clutched it. He wanted to scream, to fight back, but fear pinned him there, a rabbit, under a hawk's gaze. Two security guards jogged up, their radios crackling, faces stern under peaked caps. The taller one, a guy with a buzz cut and a sunburned neck, squinted at Marcus, then at Hensley. "What's the deal, Captain?" Hensley jerked his thumb at Marcus, still sprawled on the ground. "Caught this one sneaking around, probably. Looking to steal something. Says he's got a pass, but it's garbage. Haul him out before he tries anything else." Marcus shook his head, scrambling to his knees, his voice hoarse. "No, wait. I'm with the workshop. It's not fake. Check. It." He pointed at the badge lying a few feet away, its cord tangled in the dirt. The shorter guard, a stocky man with a graying mustache, scooped it up, turning it over in his hands. He frowned, glancing at Marcus, then at Hensley. "Looks legit. Captain, got a barcode and everything." Hensley's face darkened, a vein pulsing in his temple. "Scan it then, but I'm telling you, he's lying." The guard pulled a handheld scanner from his belt, swiped it over the badge, and waited. As the screen beeped, his eyebrows shot up. "Checks out, Marcus Tate cleared for the youth program." Hensley snorted, folding his arms. "System's wrong. No way this kid's supposed to be here." Marcus's breath hitched, hope flickering as he wiped blood from his chin. "See, I told you. Carla Evans, she's my contact. She'll back me up." The guards exchanged a look, uncertainty flickering in their eyes. But before they could respond, a woman's voice cut through the tension. "What's going on here?" Carla Evans strode up, her heels clicking against the pavement, a clipboard tucked under her arm. She was mid-30s, sharp-eyed, her braids pulled back tight. She took one look at Marcus on the ground, then at Hensley, and her face hardened. "Marcus, you okay?" Hensley stepped forward, chest puffed out. Your intruder, Evans, caught him messing around in my hangar." Carla's gaze flicked to the badge in the guard's hand, then back to Hensley. "He's no intruder, Victor. He's with my program, fully authorized. What the hell did you do to him?" Marcus stood shakily, brushing gravel from his palms, relief washing over him as Carla's authority pushed back against Hensley's glare. The pilot's smirk faltered, but his eyes stayed cold. "Authorized or not, he doesn't belong here. Looks like trouble to me." The guards shifted, loosening their grip on Marcus as Carla waved them off. "He's fine, let him go, I'll handle this." They stepped back, murmuring into their radios, and Marcus grabbed his bag, heart still racing. Carla shot Hensley a look that could melt steel. "You're out of line, Captain. I'm reporting this." Hensley shrugged, turning away, but as he walked back to the hangar, his hand slipped into his pocket, pulling out a cheap burner phone. His thumb hovered over the keys, a dark glint in his eye as he typed a quick message to an old cop buddy. "Find me something on this Tate kid. I want him gone." Marcus didn't see it, too busy thanking Carla oblivious to the storm brewing just out of sight. Marcus Tate slumped against the hangar wall, his scraped palms stinging as he wiped a smear of blood from his lip with the back of his hand. The Dallas Regional Airport buzzed around him, jet engines whining in the distance, but all he could hear was the thud of his own heartbeat, still racing from Captain Victor Hensley's shove. His flight manual lay crumpled at his feet, pages fluttering in the hot breeze, a jagged tear splitting the diagram of a turbine he'd memorized at 12. The security guards stood a few paces away, their boots scuffing the tarmac, faces tight with unease as they clutched Marcus's badge. The taller one, Buzzcut, swiped it again with his scanner, the beep cutting through the tension like a knife. Marcus Tate, Youth Aviation Program. Cleared, he muttered, glancing at his partner, Mustache, who nodded slowly, mustache twitching. As he scratched his jaw, Carla Evans stood between Marcus and the guards, her clipboard clutched like a shield, her voice sharp as she glared at Hensley. "You've got no business manhandling a kid, Victor. This is my program, my call. He's supposed to be here." Hensley loomed near the hangar door, arms crossed, his sneer a twisted slash across his sunburned face. "Systems screwed up." "Then," he growled, kicking at a pebble that skittered across the pavement, "no way some punk like him belongs in my space. Fake or not, he's trouble." Marcus's stomach knotted, the word punk echoing in his skull, but he bit his tongue, eyes darting to Carla for rescue. Buzzcut hesitated, holding the badge out to Carla. "Checks out clean, ma'am." "HR's got him listed," Mustache chimed in, voice gruff but uncertain. "We didn't know, Captain. Thought he was sneaking around." Carla snatched the badge, her braids swinging as she turned to Marcus, softening her tone. "You okay?" "Kid, what did he do to you?" Marcus nodded, shaky, brushing gravel from his jeans. "I'm fine, just he pushed me. Said I didn't belong." His voice cracked, but he straightened, clinging to the flicker of pride his dad, James, had drilled into him. "Never let them see you break." Carla's eyes narrowed, flicking back to Hensley. "You're done here, Victor. I'm filing this with HR and the higher-ups. You don't touch my kids." Hensley snorted, a harsh bark of a laugh, but his fingers twitched at his side, itching for control. "File whatever you want, Evans. Won't change facts." He turned, stalking back into the hangar, but his mind churned, a storm of rage brewing. Marcus didn't see the venom in his squint, didn't hear the gears grinding as Hensley plotted his next move. The guards shuffled off, radios crackling with static, muttering apologies under their breath as they handed Marcus his badge. "Sorry, kid." "Mix-up," Buzzcut said, avoiding his eyes. Marcus clipped the badge back on, the plastic cool against his chest, a lifeline reattached. Carla crouched beside him, picking up his torn manual, her fingers gentle as she smoothed a page. "You're tougher than you look, Marcus. Don't let him ruin this for you. I'll make sure he pays." Her words were a balm, soothing the raw ache in his gut, and he managed a small smile. "Thanks, Miss Evans. I just want to learn to fly." She stood, clapping his shoulder. "You will. Go clean up. I'll handle the rest." He nodded, slinging, his backpack over one arm, the weight of the day lifting as he walked toward the restroom, thinking maybe, just maybe, he'd dodged the worst. Inside the hangar, Hensley paced near a tool cart, his boots thudding against the concrete, each step a drumbeat of defiance. He'd spent 20 years climbing Lone Star Airways ranks, earning those 4 gold stripes on his shoulders, and now some snot-nosed kid and a pushy HR chick thought they could embarrass him. His jaw clenched, teeth grinding as he replayed Marcus's wide-eyed plea, the badge he'd dismissed as trash. "System's wrong," he muttered, kicking a wrench that clanged against a crate. He didn't buy it, couldn't stomach it. A black teen in his hangar? No shot. His gut screamed intruder, and his gut never lied. He slipped the burner phone from his pocket, a cheap flip model he kept for off-the-books favors, its screen scratched and dim. His thumb jabbed at the keys, typing a message to Tommy Vance, a buddy from his old Air Force days, who'd traded a cockpit for a badge at Dallas PD. "Got a problem. Black kid named Marcus Tate. Says he's in some aviation program. Dig up dirt, anything dirty. I want him out." He hit send, the phone buzzing faintly as the text flew off, a venomous arrow aimed at Marcus's back. Hensley smirked, pocketing, the device already picturing the kid's smug face when the hammer dropped. Let Carla file her report. He'd bury the little bastard first. Marcus splashed cold water on his face in the restroom, the sink's drip echoing off chipped tiles. His reflection stared back, lips swollen, a faint bruise blooming under his eye, but he felt lighter, like he'd won something. He pulled out. His phone, thumbs tapping a quick text to his dad. Rough start at the workshop. Pilot freaked out, pushed me, but HR lady fixed it. I'm okay. James's reply pinged back fast. You're tougher than steel, son. Proud of you. Tell me if it gets worse. Marcus grinned, pocketing the phone, the sting in his palms fading as he grabbed his bag. He'd survived Hensley's tantrum, kept his spot. What could go wrong now? The sun dipped low by the time Marcus got home, a modest brick house on the edge of Dallas, its porch light flickering as moths danced around it. He dropped his bag by the door, the smell of his mom's chili wafting from the kitchen, a comfort he didn't know he needed. He replayed the day in his head, Carla's promise, echoing, and crashed on the couch, flipping open his manual to a fresh page. His pencil sketched a cockpit panel, each dial a defiance of Hensley's shove. He didn't hear the squad cars rolling up outside, didn't see the shadows creeping closer, didn't know Hensley's text had already lit a fuse. Hensley sat in, his truck outside the airport, engine idling as the sky bled orange. His phone buzzed, Tommy's name lighting the screen. Got your message, the cop's voice rasped through. Tate kid's clean on paper, but I'll poke around. Anonymous tip might speed things up. Hensley's lips curled, a predator's grin. Make it quick, Tommy. Something about stolen tools from the hangar. Pin it on him. He hung up, tapping the steering wheel, the thrill of the hunt pulsing in his veins. Marcus thought he'd won. Kid had no clue what was coming. Night fell hard, stars swallowed by city glow, when tires squealed outside Marcus's house. Red and blue lights flashed through the curtains, painting the living room in jagged streaks. Marcus jolted upright, chilly forgotten as heavy fists pounded the door. His mom, Lena, rushed in, apron-stained, eyes wide. What's happening? She whispered, but Marcus couldn't answer, his throat dry as boots thudded inside. 3 cops barged through, badges, glinting, voices barking. Marcus Tate? We've got a tip about stolen hangar tools. Where's your room, kid? Marcus froze, his victory unraveling, Hensley's shadow stretching longer than he'd ever imagined. Lena stepped forward, hands on hips. What's this? Chap out, he's been home all evening. The lead cop, a wiry guy with a buzz cut not unlike buzz cuts, ignored her, brushing past to the stairs. We'll see about that. Stay put. Marcus's heart sank, his phone buzzing with James's. Unanswered call as the cops tore upstairs. Drawers crashed, his plane models hit the floor, and he stood rooted, watching his safe haven turn to chaos. Hensley's burner buzzed again in his pocket, miles away, Tommy's text glowing. Tips in. They're on him now. The pilot leaned back, smug, oblivious to the storm he'd just unleashed. What do you think about Marcus holding strong against Hensley's hate? Drop a number 1 in the comments if you're rooting for this kid to rise above the prejudice. Piling on him, smash that like button if you're fired up for justice, and hit subscribe to catch every twist of this wild ride. Was Marcus too quick to trust the calm after Carla's save? Could Hensley's dirty cop pal really bury an innocent teen this fast? Stick around because the next chapter is about to flip this nightmare into overdrive. Marcus Tate stood frozen in his living room, the chili's warm spice turning sour in his throat as 3 cops stormed past his mom, Lena, their boots thudding up the stairs like a drum roll to his doom. Red and blue lights pulsed through the curtains, casting eerie shadows across the faded couch where he'd been sketching minutes ago. His phone buzzed on the cushion, James's name flashing, but he couldn't move, couldn't breathe, as the wiry cop with the buzz cut barked orders from above. Check the closet, under the bed, everywhere. Drawers slammed, wood splintering, and Marcus flinched as a crash echoed down, his prized Boeing 737 model hitting the floor, wings snapping like brittle twigs. Lena gripped Marcus's arm, her nails digging in, voice trembling but fierce. What are you doing to my house? He's a kid, not a thief. The lead cop spun on her, his badge glinting under the flickering porch light spilling through the open door. Ma'am, step back. We've got a tip about stolen tools from Dallas. Regional airport, your boy's the suspect. Marcus's gut twisted. Hensley's sneer flashing in his mind, the pilot's shove on the tarmac now a prelude to this chaos. "I didn't steal anything," he croaked, throat dry as sandpaper. "I was at the workshop, that's it." The cop's eyes flicked over him, cold and dismissive, before he jerked his head toward the stairs. "We'll see." Upstairs, the second cop, a stocky guy with a pockmarked face, yanked Marcus's desk apart, papers fluttering like wounded birds. His flight manual thudded to the carpet, spine cracking, while the third, a lanky rookie, rifled through his closet, tossing sneakers and hoodies into a pile. "Nothing here," Pockmark grunted, kicking a Model F-16 aside, its landing gear snapping off. Buzzcut scowled, scanning the room, then zeroed in on Marcus's backpack by the bed. He unzipped it, dumping pencils, notebooks, and a half-eaten granola bar onto the floor. "No tools," Rookie muttered, but Buzzcut's lips thinned, unconvinced. "Doesn't mean squat. Tip says he's dirty." Marcus stumbled upstairs behind Lena, heart pounding as he saw the wreckage. "That's my stuff. I've never even touched hanger tools." His voice cracked, desperation bleeding through, but Buzzcut ignored him, radioing in. "No goods yet, but he fits the profile. Bringing him in." Lena lunged forward, apron flapping. "You've got no proof. Leave my son alone." Pockmark blocked her, arm out, while Buzzcut snapped cuffs on Marcus's wrists, the metal biting into his scraped skin. "You're coming with us, kid. Sort it out downtown." Marcus's legs buckled, but they hauled him up, dragging him past his shattered models, down the stairs, and out into the night. Neighbors clustered on porches, silhouettes against the flashing lights, their whispers slicing through the humid air. "Tate boy's in trouble again," one muttered, a woman in curlers shaking her head. Marcus kept his eyes down, cuffs clanking as they shoved him into the squad car, the vinyl seat sticking to his jeans. Lena's shouts faded as the door slammed. "Call James. He'll fix this." The car peeled out, tires squealing, and Marcus stared at his reflection in the window, swollen lip and bruised cheek staring back, a stranger in his own skin. Hensley's voice echoed in his skull. "Should have stayed where you belong." Was this where he belonged now? Across town, Victor Hensley slouched in his truck, parked under a flickering street lamp, the burner phone warm in his palm. Tommy. Vance's tip had worked like a charm, cops swarming the Tate house faster than he'd hoped. He cracked a beer, the hiss loud in the cab, and took a long swig, savoring the bitter tang. "Little punk thought he could strut around my hangar," he muttered, wiping his mouth with his sleeve. "Let's see him talk his way out of this." His lips curled, imagining Marcus in cuffs, that smug HR lady powerless now. The radio crackled, with police chatter, confirming the pickup, and Hensley's chest swelled, a hunter scenting blood. At the precinct, Marcus sat in a grey holding room, the cuffs swapped for a chain, bolting him to a table. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting harsh shadows as Buzzcut loomed, notepad out. "Where'd you stash the tools, Tate?" "Make this easy." Marcus shook his head, voice hoarse. "I didn't take anything. Check the airport cameras. I was just there for the workshop." The cop smirked, scribbling nothing. "Cameras don't prove squat. Anonymous tip says you're a thief and you were at the scene." Marcus's fists clenched, the chain rattling. "It's that pilot, Hensley. He hates me. Set me up." Buzzcut's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing, stepping out as the door clanged shut. Outside, James Tate roared into the driveway, his black SUV skidding to a stop, gravel spraying. Lena met him at the door, tears streaking her face, apron twisted in her hands. "They took him, James. Said he stole tools, tore our house apart." James, a mountain of a man with a voice like rolling thunder, pulled her close, his FAA badge glinting on his belt. "Calm down, Lena. I'll get him back." He stormed inside, phone already to his ear, dialing the precinct's captain, a guy he'd golfed with twice. "This is James Tate, FAA Administrator. You've got my son, Marcus, on some bullshit." "Tip, I want him out now." The captain's voice crackled back, hesitant. "We're just following protocol, James. Tip came in hot." James's jaw tightened, his free hand slamming the counter, rattling a chili pot. "Protocol, you're holding a 16-year-old with no evidence. Check his record, he's clean. I'm coming down there." He hung up, grabbing his keys, Lena trailing him. "They can't do this, can they?" she whispered. James's eyes blazed. "They won't. Not to my boy. He sped off, tires burning rubber, the night swallowing his tail lights as he raced to reclaim his son. At the station, the captain relented under James's barrage, ordering Marcus's release after 3 hours of grilling yielded nothing but denials. Buzzcut unlocked the chain, muttering, "You're lucky, kid, don't let us catch you again." Marcus rubbed his wrists, red welts blooming, and stumbled into the lobby where James waited, arms open. "Dad!" he rasped, crashing into the hug, the weight of the night spilling out in shaky breaths. James gripped his shoulders, voice low. "You're safe now, son. They'll pay for this." Marcus nodded, relief flooding him, the precinct's stink fading as they stepped into the cool air. He thought it was over, the nightmare boxed up and buried, but Hensley wasn't sleeping. Holed up in his cramped apartment, he scrolled X on his laptop, the beer buzz fueling his fury. Marcus walking free, unacceptable. He opened a photo app, dragging a blurry shot from the hangar's security feed. Marcus near a toolbox. A few clicks, and the kid's hand hovered over a wrench that wasn't his. The edit, seamless. Hensley grinned, uploading it to a local crime forum with a burner account. Caught this thug looting Dallas Regional Airport. Cops let him go. Who's next? He hit post, the image spreading like wildfire, retweets piling up by the minute. Comments rolled in, vicious and sharp. Typical. Lock him up. Trash like him don't belong near planes. By morning, Marcus's phone buzzed with notifications, his name trending locally, the doctored photo plastered across feeds. His heart sank, the relief from last night evaporating as he scrolled, each slur a fresh cut. James slammed his coffee mug down, reading over Marcus's shoulder. "That bastard Hensley," he growled, recognizing the hangar backdrop. "He's not stopping." Marcus swallowed, the chilly's comfort gone, replaced by a cold dread. He'd thought he'd won, thought the cuffs were the worst of it, but Hensley's shadow loomed larger, a noose tightening around his dreams. The airport, the workshop, the sky, all felt further away now, slipping through his fingers like sand. Marcus Tate woke to a phone that wouldn't stop buzzing, its screen glowing with a flood of notifications that turned his stomach to lead. The morning sun sliced through his bedroom blinds, glinting off the broken shards of his Boeing 737 model. Scattered across the carpet, a grim reminder of last night's raid. He rubbed sleep from his eyes, the ache in his wrists still fresh from the cuffs, and grabbed the device, expecting a text from his dad, James, or maybe Carla checking in. Instead, his thumb froze over a trending hashtag, or airport thug. His breath hitched as he tapped it, the screen filling with that doctored photo Victor Hensley had posted, his hand hovering over a wrench he'd never touched, captioned with venom. "Caught this thug looting Dallas Regional Airport. Cops let him go. Who's next?" Comments piled up like a landslide, each one sharper than the last. "Typical lowlife," one read. "Should have stayed in jail," another spat. "Black. Kids don't belong near planes," a third sneered, racking up hundreds of likes. Marcus's chest tightened, his swollen lip throbbing as he scrolled, the hate seeping through the glass into his bones. He'd thought the precinct was the end, that James's pull had sealed it, but this was worse, a public execution in pixels. His phone slipped from his hand, clattering onto the floor, and he buried his face in his pillow, the fabric muffling a choked sob. How could one lie spread so fast? Downstairs, James slammed his laptop shut, the kitchen table rattling as Lena poured coffee with shaky hands. "That bastard Hensley's behind this," James growled, his FAA badge glinting on the counter beside, a stack of bills. "Doctored the damn photo and now it's everywhere." Lena's eyes, red from crying, flicked to the stairs. "Marcus hasn't come down yet. He doesn't deserve this, James." He nodded, jaw tight, and grabbed his phone, dialing a contact at Channel 5 News. "Rick, it's James Tate. My son's getting smeared online, a setup from some racist pilot. I need airtime to set it straight." Rick's voice crackled, back, eager. "FAA big shots, kid, that's gold. We'll send a crew." At Hensley's apartment, the pilot lounged on a sagging couch, beer cans littering the coffee table as he refreshed the forum thread, grinning at the chaos he'd unleashed. The photo had blown up overnight, retweets hitting thousands, local X accounts amplifying the hate. "Told you, kid," he muttered, cracking another can. foam spilling over his knuckles. "You don't mess with me." His burner buzzed. Tommy Vance texting, "Photos a hit. Cops can't touch you on this." Hensley's smirk widened, picturing Marcus crumbling under the weight. Suspension be damned. He'd make sure the punk never stepped near a plane again. By noon, Marcus's school called. The principal's voice clipped over speakerphone. "Mr. Tate, we're suspending Marcus pending an investigation. That photo's caused a stir. Parents are complaining." James's fist hit the table, coffee sloshing. "It's a lie. You've got no proof." The principal sighed. "Policy. Sir, we'll sort it out." Marcus overheard from the stairs, his stomach plummeting, and bolted back to his room, slamming the door. He yanked his hoodie up, pacing as texts from classmates flooded in. "Thief. Loser. Go back to the hood." Each word was a brick, walling off the workshop, the hangar, his dreams. Outside, kids from school lingered near his house, snickering behind chain-link fences, one lobbing a soda can that clattered against the porch. "Hey, Tate, steal any planes?" "Lately?" A voice jeered, laughter trailing as they scattered. Marcus peeked through the blinds, his bruised cheek twitching, and sank to the floor, knees to his chest. The workshop slot was gone too, Carla texting an apology. "Program's on hold for you, Marcus, too much heat." He stared at the message, the flicker of hope from her defense yesterday snuffed out. Hensley's lie had claws, and they were sinking deep. James's call paid off by afternoon, a Channel 5 van rolling up, its antenna scraping the oak tree out front. Rick, a wiry reporter with a slick grin, hopped out, camera guy in tow. "Marcus, we're live in 10. Tell your side, kid." Marcus hesitated, hoodie shadowing his face, but James squeezed his shoulder. "You've got the truth, son. Use." They set up in the living room, the busted model shelf in frame, and Marcus sat stiffly, hands clasped. Rick leaned in, mic poised. "Marcus Tate, accused of theft at Dallas Regional Airport. What really happened?" Marcus swallowed, voice low but steady. "I was at a youth aviation workshop invited by Lone Star Airways. Captain Hensley attacked me, called me a thug, said I didn't belong. Cops raided my house over a fake tip, found nothing. That photo's edited. I never stole anything." His eyes flicked to the camera, raw and pleading. "I just want to fly planes, that's all." Rick nodded, turning to James. "Mr. Tate, FAA Administrator, any comment?" James's voice boomed. "This is racial profiling, plain and simple. Hensley's a liar and I'll prove it." The feed cut, airing live across Dallas, views spiking fast. The broadcast flipped the script, X lighting up with support. "Marcus deserves better," one post read, racking up shares. "Hensley's a racist," another declared, a hashtag trending, "Hide justice for Marcus." Local forums buzzed, some calling for Hensley's job, others donating to a fund James hadn't even started. Marcus watched from his room, phone in hand, a fragile hope blooming as the hate tide ebbed. By evening, Lone Star Airways tweeted, "Captain Hensley's post violates policy. He's suspended pending review." Marcus exhaled, the weight lifting, thinking maybe he'd clawed his way back. Hensley saw it too, his laptop screen glowing with the news clip, beer can crumpling in his fist. "Suspended?" he roared, hurling the can at the wall, foam splattering. The comment stung worse, racist branding him like a tattoo. He paced, boots scuffing the worn carpet, rage boiling over. Marcus winning? Not on his watch. He grabbed his burner, dialing Ray Cutler, an ex-cop turned private eye. A hulking guy with a rap sheet Hensley had buried years ago. "Ray, it's Vic. That Tate kid's screwing me. Tail him, scare him, make him disappear if he steps out of line." Ray's voice rasped back, gravelly. "How much?" Hensley snarled. $5,000 now. 5 later. Do it." Cutler hung up, already plotting. He'd tailed punks before, knew the game. Marcus's broadcast played on his truck's radio as he drove to the Tate house, parking a block away. Black SUV blending into dusk. He lit a cigarette, smoke curling as he watched Marcus's silhouette in the window, sketching again, oblivious. Hensley's cash hit his account, and Cutler smirked, snapping a photo of the kid through the blinds. "Disappear, huh?" he muttered, flicking the butt out the window. "Easy money." Marcus felt a prickle on his neck, glancing outside but saw nothing. The calm before the storm he didn't know was coming. James sat downstairs, laptop open, tracking the broadcast's reach, a rare smile tugging at his lips. "We're fighting." "Back, Lena, they're listening." She nodded, stirring a fresh pot of chili, the kitchen warm again. Marcus joined them, manual in hand, sketching a jet's tail fin. "Think it's over, Dad?" James chuckled, ruffling his hair. "Not yet, son, but we're winning." The photo's retweets slowed, Hensley's post deleted under pressure, and Marcus dared to believe it. But outside, Cutler's engine purred, headlights off, a predator circling. Hensley's next blow coiled and ready to strike. Can you believe Marcus's dreams got trashed by one fake photo? Comment number 1 if you're furious. Hensley's hate went viral this fast. Hit like if you're cheering for Marcus to soar past this mess, and tap subscribe to see justice unfold in real time. Did Marcus's TV moment really turn the tide? Or is Hensley's next move already too close to dodge? Keep watching because this fight's about to get darker than you think. Marcus Tate hunched over his library table, pencil scratching a rough sketch of a Piper Cub's landing gear. The hum of fluorescent lights a dull comfort against the chaos of the past few days. The Dallas Regional Airport workshop felt like a distant memory, its promise drowned by Hensley's viral lie, but he'd slipped out this morning craving the quiet of books and blueprints. His hoodie shadowed his bruised cheek, the swelling down but the sting still sharp, a reminder of the tarmac shove. Outside, the afternoon sun baked the parking lot, glinting off a black SUV parked crooked across 2 spaces, its tinted windows swallowing the light. Ray Cutler slouched in the driver's seat, cigarette dangling from his cracked lips, smoke curling up to the cracked sunroof. His buzzed head glistened with sweat, eyes locked on the library's glass doors where Marcus had disappeared 30 minutes ago. Hensley's $5,000 burned a hole in his pocket, the promise of 5 more dangling, like bait. He'd tailed punks before, ex-cop instincts honed by years of bending rules, but this kid was different, skittish, always glancing over his shoulder. Cutler snapped another photo, Marcus's silhouette blurry through the window, and texted it to Hensley. "Got eyes on him. Library. Next move." The burner buzzed back fast. "Keep him jumpy. I want him gone." Marcus flipped a page in his manual, oblivious, tracing the Piper's struts with a steady hand. The library was his refuge, a place where slurs didn't echo, where he could rebuild the dream Hensley kept torching. But as he reached for his water bottle, a shadow flickered outside, tires screeching faintly. He froze, peering through the blinds, heart kicking up a notch. That black SUV again, same one he'd glimpsed near his house last night. Was it following him? He shook it off, chalking it up to nerves, but the prickle on his neck wouldn't fade. Cutler gunned the engine, peeling out as Marcus's face pressed to the glass, the kid's wide eyes locking on him for a split second before he ducked. Back. "Too close," Cutler muttered, circling the block, parking behind a dumpster where the library's rear exit glowed red. He crushed his cigarette under his boot, slipping a baggie of white powder from his glove box, Hensley's latest order ringing in his skull. Plant it. Make it stick. Cutler grinned, a wolf baring teeth, and waited, knowing Marcus couldn't hide forever. Back home, Marcus burst through the door, backpack thudding to the floor as he found James in the kitchen, poring over FAA reports. "Dad, there's this SUV, keeps showing up. Saw it at the library today, tires squealed when I looked." James's head snapped up, his broad frame tensing, eyes narrowing like a hawk spotting prey. "Same one from last night?" Marcus nodded, breathless. "Yeah, black, tinted, I'm not crazy, right?" James stood, phone already out, dialing a contact at Dallas PD. "This is James Tate, FAA. My son's being stalked. Black SUV, no plates visible. Get a patrol on our street, now." The cop on the line, a gruff Sergeant James knew from a safety seminar, grunted assent. "On it, Tate, we'll sweep the area." James hung up, gripping Marcus's shoulder. "You're not crazy, son. Someone's after you, and I'll bet my badge it's Hensley's doing." Marcus exhaled, the weight of his dad's certainty anchoring him. By dusk, a patrol car rolled up, its spotlight sweeping the quiet street, and Cutler's SUV vanished, engine silent as he slunk back to a motel lot, cursing under his breath. Marcus watched from the window, sketching again the Piper's wings, taking shape, thinking the shadow had lifted. Hensley stewed in his apartment, the TV muted on a rerun of Marcus's Channel 5 interview, the kid's earnest face mocking him. Cutler's text buzzed, "Patrol spooked me off, kid's guarded now." Hensley's fist clenched, knuckles whitening as he punched back. "Screw the tail. Plant the drugs, double the pay. I want him locked up." He tossed the phone onto the couch, pacing, his boots scuffing the floorboards. Suspension wasn't enough punishment, not when Marcus's sob story had turned the public soft. Drugs would kill that sympathy, bury the kid for good. Cutler got the message at dawn, 10 grand now lighting his account, a green light to escalate. He scoped Marcus's routine, clocking the school drop-off James insisted on after the library scare. Tuesday morning, James's SUV pulled up to Marcus's high school, the kid hopping out, backpack slung low, head down against the whispers still lingering from the photo. Cutler parked across the street, ball cap pulled tight, waiting as James drove off. The patrol car was gone, coast clear. He slipped out, baggie in his pocket, and shadowed Marcus to the entrance, blending with the crowd of kids. Marcus trudged to his locker, the suspension lifted after James's threats to sue, but the stares burned hotter than ever. He swapped books, oblivious as Cutler brushed past, a quick hand dipping into his open backpack, the baggie sliding between notebooks like a snake into grass. Cutler vanished into the throng, whistling as he strolled back to his SUV, texting Hensley, "Done, school's got a surprise coming." Marcus slung the bag over his shoulder, the weight unnoticeable, and headed to math, sketching in the margins. As the teacher droned, the library scare fading to a bad dream, Hensley grinned at the update, cracking a beer, the foam hissing as he leaned back. "Got you now, punk," he muttered, imagining Marcus's face when the hammer fell. He flipped the TV to a local news stream, waiting for the bus to break, his revenge a slow burn turning white hot. At school, noon hit, and a drug dog padded. Through the halls, a routine sweep the principal bragged about on X. Its nose twitched near Marcus's locker, then locked on his bag as he sat in class, pencil mid-stroke. A low growl, and the handler signaled, cops swarming in, boots echoing like gunfire. Marcus looked up confused as 2 officers burst into the room, the teacher stepping back, chalk clattering. "Marcus Tate, stand up," the taller cop barked, a burly guy with a shaved head. Marcus rose, legs shaky, heart slamming against his ribs. "What's going on?" The cop yanked his backpack from the desk, unzipping it and pulled out the baggie, white powder glinting under the classroom lights. Gasps rippled through the room, kids whispering, "Druggie!" "Told you!" Marcus's eyes widened, voice breaking. "That's not mine. I don't do drugs." The cop smirked, cuffing him. "Tell it downtown." They dragged him out, past gaping classmates, his sneakers squeaking on the linoleum, protests drowning in the chaos. "I'm innocent! Someone planted it!" he shouted. But the cops shoved him into a squad car, sirens blaring as they peeled. Out. The principal watched, arms crossed, muttering, knew he was trouble. James's phone rang minutes later, Lena's voice frantic. "They've got Marcus again, drugs this time. School called." James slammed his desk at FAA headquarters, papers scattering. "Hensley," he snarled, grabbing his keys, the patrol useless against this new blow. Cutler watched from a block away, SUV idling, a cigarette glowing as the squad car vanished. He texted Hensley, "Kids nabbed. Cops bought it." Hensley's reply buzzed, "Perfect, keep low." Cutler smirked, peeling off the 10 grand a sweet weight in his mind. Marcus sat in the car, cuffs biting deeper than last time, staring at the baggie on the seat beside him, a ghost he'd never touched. His sketches, his dreams, all felt like ash now. Hensley's shadow stretching longer, darker, a noose he couldn't see tightening around his neck. Marcus Tate sat hunched on a cold metal bench in juvenile detention, the orange jumpsuit swallowing his wiry frame, its stale stench clinging to his skin like damp rot. The holding cell's grey walls pressed in, graffiti scars spelling out names. He didn't know while a flickering bulb buzzed overhead, casting jagged shadows across his swollen lip. His wrists ached, red from the cuffs that had dragged him from school, the baggie of white powder flashing in his mind, a ghost he'd never touched. Outside, the Dallas evening thickened, but in here time crawled, each second a nail in the coffin of his dreams. He clutched his hands together, nails digging into palms, the echo of classroom gasps still ringing. Druggy. Told you. Across town. Victor Hensley leaned back in his apartment, boots propped on a coffee table littered with empty cans, the TV blaring a news ticker. Local teen busted in school drug sweep. The anchor's voice droned. Marcus Tate, 16, caught with narcotics, linked to prior airport theft claims. Hensley's grin split his weathered face. A predator's gleam in his pale eyes as he cracked a fresh beer, foam dripping onto his knuckles. Nailed you, punk, he muttered, savoring the broadcast like a victory lap. Cutler's plant had worked, the cops swallowing it whole. And now the kid was buried, his sob story drowned in headlines. Suspension. A slap. This was checkmate. At the precinct, James Tate stormed through the doors, his FAA badge a steel glint on his belt. Lawyers, flanking him like wolves. Lena trailed behind, apron swapped for a coat, eyes red but blazing. "Where's my son?" James roared, slamming a fist on the desk, the clerk jumping. The captain, a paunchy man with a comb-over, emerged, hands up. "Mr. Tate, he's in." "Juvie, standard procedure. Drugs on school grounds, airtight case." James's voice dropped, lethal. "Airtight, that's planted evidence, and I'll prove it. Get me the security footage from that school, now." The captain balked, but James's glare, honed by years of grounding rogue pilots, brooked no argument. Marcus stared at the cell floor, concrete scuffed by countless shoes, his mind replaying the bust. The dog's growl, the cop's smirk, the baggie glinting like a lie made flesh. "I didn't do it," he whispered, voice hoarse, but the walls didn't care. A guard banged the bars, a burly guy with a shaved head. "Quiet, Tate, you're on the news, big star." Marcus's gut twisted, the broadcast seeping through the precinct chatter outside, Hensley's frame up a spotlight he couldn't escape. He thought of his manual, left in his locker, pages unsketched, and wondered if he'd ever hold it again. James's lawyers pounced, pulling strings to rush the school footage. By midnight, a grainy tape played in the captain's office, James looming over the screen. There in the hall's bustle, Cutler's hulking frame brushed Marcus's locker, a quick dip of his hand planting the baggie. "That's him," James snapped, pointing. "Ex-cop Ray Cutler, Hensley's hired muscle." The captain squinted, sweat beading on his brow. "Could be coincidence." James's fist hit the desk, rattling a coffee mug. "Coincidence? My son's no dealer, and that's no student. Run his face, you'll see." The captain caved, ordering a check, and Cutler's record pinged. Dishonorable discharge, petty crimes, a match. Marcus jolted awake as keys clanked, the guard swinging the cell door open. "Tate, you're out. Family's here." He stumbled. To his feet, jumpsuit sagging, and shuffled into the lobby where James and Lena waited, arms open. "Dad," he rasped, crashing into the hug, tears soaking James's shirt. "They believed me." James gripped his shoulders, voice steady. "We proved it, son. Footage showed the plant. You're clear." Lena sobbed, stroking his hair, and Marcus exhaled, the weight lifting, the orange fabric peeling off like a shed skin. He thought it was over, the nightmare torched by truth. The news flipped fast, Channel 5 airing the update. Marcus Tate cleared, evidence planted by unknown suspect. Public outrage swung, ex-post slamming Hensley, to justice for Marcus trending again. Lone Star Airways doubled down, extending his suspension, and Marcus felt the tide turn, sketching a jet's nose cone at the kitchen table, chili simmering anew. James watched, pride in his eyes, plotting Hensley's downfall with FAA clout. "He's done, son, we'll bury him." Marcus nodded, pencil steady, believing the worst was ash, the sky opening up again. Hensley saw it too, TV screen glowing with Marcus's redemption, and fury erupted, a beer can smashing against the wall, foam splattering. "Cleared," he bellowed, pacing, boots gouging the carpet. Cutler's text buzzed. "They've got—" My face. Laying low. Hensley's pulse hammered, the public turning soft again, his checkmate unraveling. He grabbed his burner, dialing a number from his Air Force days. A neo-Nazi grunt named Lyle, he'd flown supplies for in sketchy ops. "Lyle, it's Vic. That Tate kid's house. Torch it tonight. 10 grand, make it look accidental." "Lyle's," voice rasped. "Gasoline's cheap, done." Lyle moved fast, a wiry figure in black, slipping through Dallas shadows with a jerry can sloshing at his side. Midnight struck, the Tate house dark, Marcus asleep with his manual open, James and Lena in the next room. Lyle splashed gas along the porch, the stench biting the air, and struck a match, flames licking up the wood like hungry tongues. The blaze roared, windows shattering, smoke billowing as an alarm shrieked. Marcus jolted awake, coughing, heat, searing his lungs as he stumbled to the hall, shouting, "Dad! Mom!" James burst in, kicking the door, and hauled him out. Lena behind, barefoot on the lawn as the house burned. Firefighters swarmed, hoses blasting. But the damage was done. Marcus's room a charred husk. Plane models melted into slag. James clutched his family, soot-streaked, voice trembling. "We're alive, that's what matters." Marcus stared, manual gone, dreams smouldering in the wreckage. But relief clung to him, Hensley's arrest a silver lining. FAA investigators traced Lyle's burner calls to Hensley's circle, cops cuffing the pilot at dawn, his snarls echoing as they dragged him in. "You've got nothing," he spat. But Marcus felt justice closing, sketching on borrowed paper, thinking the fire was the end. Hensley sat in a holding cell, wrists chafed by cuffs, but his mind churned, unbowed. The news blared his arrest, pilot linked to arson, and he smirked, knowing bail was hours away. He'd slipped Lyle cash through a guard, a backroom deal with a crooked judge already in motion, 20 grand to quash the evidence and flip the script. By morning, a warrant loomed, claiming Marcus torched his own house for insurance, Hensley's next dagger poised to strike. Marcus didn't see it, hugging James on the motel bed they'd crashed in, believing the flames were Hensley's. Last gasp, not his opening salvo. Should Marcus have seen Hensley's hate coming this far? Comment number 1. If you think this kid's resilience is unreal against such a monster, smash like if you're raging at how deep this racism runs, and hit subscribe to catch every brutal twist ahead. Did James's proof really save Marcus, or is Hensley's fire just the spark of something worse? Stay tuned, because the next chapter's about to turn this inferno into a war you won't believe. Flames devoured the Tate house, a roaring beast of orange and black that clawed at the midnight sky, spitting sparks onto the Dallas street below. Marcus Tate stumbled onto the lawn, bare feet sinking into damp grass, his lungs hacking up smoke. As the heat seared his back, the porch collapsed with a groan, wood splintering and glass shattered inward, his room's window bursting like a gunshot. His flight manual, his models, all melted into the inferno. A lifetime of dreams reduced to ash. James yanked him further, arm locked around his shoulders, while Lena clutched her robe, sobbing as sirens wailed closer, too late to save anything but their lives. Inside Victor Hensley's apartment, the pilot watched the news livestream, a grainy shot of the blaze flickering on his TV, the anchor's voice cutting through static. Arson suspected at the Tate residence, teen recently cleared of drug charges. Hensley's lips twisted into a smirk, beer can sweating in his grip as he leaned back, boots scuffing the floor. Lyle's match had lit the fuse, 10 grand well spent, and now the kid's world was cinders. "Burn, you little punk," he muttered, picturing Marcus's face as the flames took everything. Suspension, arrest, none of it matched this high, the raw thrill of watching his enemy crumble. Firefighters swarmed the scene, hoses blasting arcs of water that hissed against the fire, steam rising like ghosts. James stood tall, soot streaking, his face barking at a cop in a rumpled uniform. "This wasn't an accident. Check the gas cans, the timing. Someone torched us." The cop nodded, scribbling as Marcus sank to his knees staring at the wreckage, his sketchbook's charred edges poking from the rubble. Lena knelt beside him, whispering, "We're okay, baby. That's enough." But her voice trembled, the loss sinking in. Neighbors gawked from across the street, phones out filming the end of Marcus's sanctuary. At dawn, FAA investigators combed the ashes, gloved hands lifting a melted jerry can, its acrid stench lingering. James's team traced burner calls. From Lyle to Hensley's circle, a web of texts and cash drops pinning the pilot fast. Cops kicked in Hensley's door, cuffs snapping on his wrists as he snarled, "You've got nothing solid!" But the evidence stacked, call logs glowing on a detective's tablet, and they hauled him to the precinct, his boots dragging. Marcus heard it on the motel TV where they'd crashed, James's arm around him, a grim nod. "Got him, son. He's done." Relief washed over Marcus, frail but real, the fire's sting dulled by justice's grip. Hensley stewed in a holding cell, concrete walls pressing his rage into a tight coil, but he wasn't finished. Out on bail by noon, a crooked judge's favor greased with 20,000 slipped through a guard. He paced his apartment, burner buzzing with Lyle's update. Cops sniffing, but I'm clear. Hensley's mind raced, the arrest a hiccup, not a halt. He dialed the judge again, voice low. "Quash the call logs, plant a new warrant. Say the kid torched his own place for insurance. Make it stick." The judge grunted assent, pocketing the cash, and by dusk, a fresh warrant hit the system. Marcus's name blazing in red. Arson suspect. Marcus rebuilt in scraps, sketching on motel stationery, a Cessna's tail fin taking shape as James sourced donated books from FAA pals. "We'll rise, son," James said, flipping chili-stained pages of a new manual. Protests erupted online, our justice for Marcus trending again, crowds outside the precinct waving signs, "Free the Tate kid." James leaked the judge's corruption. To Channel 5, Rick's crew airing grainy shots of the deal, sparking outrage. The warrant paused, cops backpedaling, and Hensley's bail revoked, locking him up again. Marcus surfaced at a friend's house, head low, cheers ringing as he stepped out, thinking the tide had turned for good. James's broadcast hit hard, X-posts piling up. "Hensley's a monster. Protect Marcus." Donations flooded a fund. For the Tates, and Marcus felt the lift, sketching in a borrowed attic room, the fire's echo fading. Hensley's cell door clanged shut, his snarls muffled, and Marcus dared to breathe, believing the pilot's claws were clipped. But Hensley unbowed, smirked through the bars, bribing a guard with a wad of cash for a smuggled phone. He dialed a hitman, voice a hiss. "Tate kid's rallying tomorrow. James set it up. 50 grand to end him there. Clean shot." The hitman, a lean shadow named Knox, rasped, "Crowd's no problem, done." The rally loomed. A parking lot near the airport, dusk painting the sky purple as James rigged a mic stand. Marcus's name on banners flapping in the breeze. Knox blended in, ball cap low, pistol tucked under his coat, a glint of steel catching. The fading light. Marcus climbed the makeshift stage, heart pounding, his borrowed sketchbook clutched like armor. "I'm Marcus Tate," he started, voice steady, "and I won't let hate stop me from flying." The crowd roared, fists up, a wall of support he could feel in his bones. James nodded from the sidelines, pride swelling, thinking they'd won, the fire's ashes a stepping stone. Hensley paced his cell, burner hidden in his sock, picturing the shot, the kid's blood on asphalt. Knox's text buzzed. "In position." Hensley's pulse quickened, revenge a heartbeat away. The rally's noise a faint hum through the precinct walls. Marcus spoke on. "I've lost my home, my stuff, but not my dream." His words cutting the air, defiance in every syllable. The crowd swelled, 100 strong, phones live streaming, and he felt invincible. Hensley's arrest a lock on the past. But Knox edged closer, finger brushing the trigger, the pistol's weight a promise Hensley had paid to keep. Marcus Tate crouched behind a friend's attic window, the slanted roof creaking under Dallas's humid night. His breath shallow as cop lights flashed red and blue through the cracked blinds. Hours ago, he'd been sketching a jet's cockpit, on motel paper, believing Hensley's arrest had locked the nightmare away. But now the warrant screamed his name again. Arson suspect, insurance fraud. His heart thudded, a trapped bird against his ribs, as boots pounded the stairs below, the E. Friend's mom shouting, "He's not here!" James had leaked the judge's corruption, paused the warrant but not fast enough. Marcus bolted, slipping out the back, a fugitive in his own skin. Victor Hensley sat smug in his cell, the precinct's clamor a dull roar beyond the bars, his burner phone tucked in his sock. A lifeline past the guards. The judge's $20,000 flip had worked, the warrant pinning the fire on Marcus. but James's broadcast had muddied it, stalling the hunt. Hensley's jaw clenched, teeth grinding as he pictured the kid dodging cuffs again. Bail kept him caged, but his mind was free, plotting. He'd paid Knox 50 grand to end Marcus at the rally, a clean shot to bury the problem. The hitman's silence gnawed at him, a loose thread he couldn't pull. Cops ransacked the attic, flashlights slicing the dark, dust swirling as they kicked boxes, missing Marcus by minutes. He sprinted through backyards, hoodie snagged on fences, his sneakers silent on dew-slick grass. Sirens faded, and he ducked into an alley, chest heaving. The warrants lie a noose he couldn't shake. James's voice echoed in his skull. "We'll fix this." But the streets didn't care, each shadow a threat. He thought of the fire, the melted models, and now this. Hensley's hate chasing him like a ghost he couldn't outrun. At FAA headquarters, James hammered his desk, phone pressed to his ear, barking at Channel 5's Rick. "Air it now, the judge's dirty deal, the warrant's bullshit. My son's running because of Hensley." Rick's crew had the footage, a grainy clip of the judge pocketing cash, and it hit the airwaves, sparking protests outside the precinct. Crowds swelled, signs waving, "Hensley's the arsonist." X exploded, Chas Free Marcus trending, and the cops froze the warrant, heads spinning under public glare. James exhaled, fists unclenching, believing Marcus could come home, the tide turning once more. Marcus surfaced at dawn, creeping to a friend's garage, the rally's echo still buzzing in his veins. He'd hidden there, sketching on scrap cardboard, when the crowd's roar reached him through a cracked radio. Marcus Tate's innocent. James's leak had worked, protests forcing Hensley's bail revocation, the pilot locked up again. Marcus stepped out, head low, and neighbors cheered, fists raised, a wall of support washing over him. He clutched his sketch, a jet's wing jagged but defiant, thinking the chase was over. Hensley's claws dulled by bars and outrage. Hensley felt the shift, the cell's air thickening as guards muttered about protests, his burner buzzing with a guard's tip. "Kid's free, crowd's with him." Rage boiled, his fist slamming the wall, knuckles splitting. Knox's silence meant failure. The rally hit botched, and now Marcus was a martyr, not a corpse. He fished the phone from his sock, texting a guard he'd bribed with a fat roll of bills. "Get me out, I've got a job." The guard slipped. Him a key, and Hensley dialed Knox again, voice a hiss. "Rally's off, 50 grand still stands, end him at the next chance." The rally had been chaos, dusk bleeding purple over the airport lot as Marcus took the stage, his voice steady, despite the warrant's shadow. "I've lost my home, but not my fight," he'd said, the crowd roaring, 100-strong live streams catching every word. James watched, mic in hand, when a crack split the air, a bullet grazing Marcus's arm, blood blooming on his sleeve. Screams erupted, bodies scattering as James tackled him behind the podium, wood splintering. Knox fired again, the shot wild and bolted, cap low, pistol glinting as he melted into the panic. Cops swarmed, tackling Knox 2 blocks away, his phone pinging Hensley's burner, the 50 grand deal in black and white. "Link to the pilot," a detective grunted, cuffing him, and the news hit fast. "Attempted murder at Tate rally." Marcus sat in an ambulance, arm bandaged, shaking as James gripped his hand. "You're safe, son. They've got the shooter." The crowd regrouped, chanting his name, and Marcus felt the lift, Hensley's arrest a steel trap snapping shut. He thought it was over, the bullet a miss, the truth a shield. Hensley watched the precinct TV, Knox's mugshot glaring back, and his smirk faltered, the hitman's bust a crack in his armor. But he wasn't done, the guard's key burning a hole in his pocket, bail revoked but not his will. He texted a new contact, a militia leader he'd flown for years ago, a grizzled ex-con named Wade. "Tate kid's alive. Kidnap him from his safe house, 100 grand and a jet when I'm out." Wade's reply rasped. "Got a crew. Where's—" "Hide it." Hensley grinned, the rally's failure a hiccup. Marcus's blood still his prize. Marcus crashed at a friend's basement, a new safe house James had rigged, sketching on a scavenged notebook, the bullet's graze a dull throb. James sat upstairs, coordinating with FAA investigators, phone buzzing with tips tying Knox to Hensley. "He's finished, Marcus," James called, voice firm. Cops have the shooter, evidence is airtight. Marcus nodded, pencil tracing a jet's fuselage, the crowd's cheers a balm on his raw nerves. He felt invincible. Hensley's cell. A tomb. The nightmare's end in sight. Not knowing Wade's crew was already circling, vans idling in the dark. Is Marcus's grit enough to outlast Hensley's endless hate? Comment number 1 if you're stunned this kid's still standing after bullets fly. Hit like if you're boiling at how far this racism stretches. And tap subscribe to catch every pulse-pounding turn. Did James's rally save Marcus from the fugitive life? Or has Hensley's jailhouse reach already coiled too tight? Buckle up, because the next chapter's about to drag this fight into shadows you can't imagine. Marcus Tate stood on the rickety stage in the Dallas Regional Airport parking lot, dusk bruising the sky purple, his voice cutting through the humid air as 100 supporters roared below. His borrowed sketchbook trembled in his grip, pages fluttering, the bullet graze on his arm a dull pulse under fresh bandages. "I've lost my home, my stuff, but not my dream," he said, each word a defiance of Hensley's hate, the crowd's fists pumping in rhythm. James watched from the sidelines, mic stand steady, pride swelling as banners snapped in the breeze. Marcus flies free. But under the clamor, a shadow moved, Knox, the hitman, edging through the throng, ball cap low, pistol glinting beneath. His coat. Victor Hensley paced his cell, the precinct's hum a faint drone beyond the bars, his smuggled burner buzzing with anticipation. Knox's 50 grand shot was seconds away. The rally a perfect stage to end Marcus, bury the kid's martyr glow in blood. His boots scuffed the concrete, a smirk tugging at his lips as he pictured James's face when the news hit. Teen gunned. Down at rally, the guard he'd bribed lingered nearby, eyes averted, the phone's existence a silent pact. Hensley's pulse thrummed, revenge a heartbeat from reality, the crowd's noise a distant echo of his triumph. Marcus leaned into the mic, voice rising, "I won't let hate stop me from flying," when a crack split the air, sharp as a snapped wing. Pain seared his arm, blood blooming fresh through the bandage, and screams erupted, the crowd scattering like startled birds. James lunged, tackling Marcus behind the podium, wood splintering as another shot went wild, ricocheting off a banner pole. Marcus hit the asphalt, breath knocked out, his sketchbook skidding away, pages tearing. "Dad!" he gasped, clutching his arm, blood slick between his fingers. James's weight a shield as Knox bolted, pistol flashing in the fading light. Cops swarmed, boots pounding, tackling Knox 2 blocks out, his cap tumbling as they pinned him, cuffs snapping tight. "Got him!" a detective shouted, prying the phone from his pocket. Hensley's number glowing on the screen, the 50 grand deal in blunt texts. "Link to the pilot," the cop grunted, hauling Knox up, his lean face snarling as they dragged him to a squad car. Sirens wailed, the crowd regrouping, chanting Marcus's name, live streams catching the chaos. James pulled Marcus up, arm around him, voice steady. "You're okay, son. They've got the bastard." Marcus nodded, shaking, the bullet a miss, relief a fragile thread. News hit fast, Channel 5 blaring, attempted murder at Tate rally, suspect tied to jailed pilot. X erupted. Hensley hates trending, posts screaming, "Protect Marcus." James sat Marcus in an ambulance, paramedics rebandaging his arm, the graze shallow but raw. "He's done, son," James said, gripping his hand. The crowd's cheers a balm on the terror. Marcus exhaled, the hitman's bust a lock on Hensley's cage, and he felt safe, the rally's roar a shield, thinking the pilot's claws were clipped, the nightmare's end in sight. Hensley watched the precinct TV, Knox's mugshot glaring back, and his smirk vanished, rage boiling as he slammed the bars, knuckles splitting. "Caught?" he roared, the guard flinching, the hit a botched mess, Marcus still breathing. His burner buzzed, a guard's tip. "Shooters singing, tied it to you." Hensley's mind raced, the 50 grand wasted, the kid's blood unspilled. He fished, the phone from his sock, texting a militia leader he'd flown for years ago, Wade, a grizzled ex-con with a crew. "Tate kid's alive. Kidnap him from his safe house, 100 grand and a jet when I'm out." Wade rasped back, "Got vans." "Where?" Marcus crashed in a friend's basement. a new safe house James had rigged, the concrete cool against his back as he sketched on a scavenged notebook, a jet's fuselage taking shape. His arm throbbed, but the crowd's chants lingered, a lifeline past the bullet's sting. James sat upstairs, coordinating with FAA investigators, phone buzzing with Knox's confession tying Hensley tight. "He's finished, Marcus," James called, voice firm, the hitman's bust airtight. Marcus nodded, pencil steady. The safe house. A bunker believing Hensley's cell was a tomb, not a launch pad for worse. Wade moved at dusk, 3 vans rolling silent through Dallas backstreets, masked men inside, zip ties and gags at the ready. The safe house loomed, a squat ranch house, lights dim. Marcus's silhouette faint through a basement window. Wade signaled, and they struck, boots crunching gravel as they smashed the back door, wood splintering. Marcus jolted up, sketchbook tumbling, heart slamming as shadows flooded in. "Grab him!" Wade barked, a hulking figure in black, and hands clamped Marcus's arms, zip ties biting his wrists, a gag muffling his scream. James burst downstairs, fist swinging, but a baton cracked his knee, dropping him as Marcus thrashed, dragged to. A van. The militia sped off, tires squealing, Marcus bound in the back, eyes wide above the gag. The notebook left crumpled on the floor. Wade live-streamed on the dark web, Marcus's bruised face a trophy, voice a growl. FAA big shot James Tate resign or the kid's gone. The feed spread, a viral threat, and James, limping, saw it on his phone, the basement empty, rage, and fear choking him. "Marcus," he roared, dialing FAA security, but the vans were ghosts, melting into the night. Hensley grinned in his cell, burner buzzing with Wade's update. "Got him!" Resignation's on. His pulse quickened. The hitman's bust a hiccup, this abduction a masterstroke. James's resignation aired hours later, a grim broadcast from the safe house, voice breaking. "I'm stepping down to save my son." Marcus was dumped on a roadside at dawn, bruised but alive. Zip ties cut, staggering to a gas station thinking it was over. Hensley's grip broken. James rushed him, hugging tight. "You're back, son." Relief aflood, the militia's demand met. But Hensley wasn't done, the burner warm in his hand as he texted a tabloid hack, a sleaze named Vince. "Tate kid's gang pass needs legs. Forge docs, spread it. 20 grand. Vince's reply pinged. "On it. Dirt's my specialty." Hensley leaned back, smirking, the abduction a feint, Marcus's reputation the real target, a smear to reignite the hate. Marcus sat in a motel with James, sketching again, the roadside rescue a win, not seeing the storm brewing, Hensley's next dagger already airborne. Marcus Tate sprawled on a friend's basement floor, the safe house's concrete cool against his cheek, his pencil tracing a jet's wing on a scavenged notebook as dusk bled through a cracked window. His arm ached, the rally's bullet graze, a dull throb under fresh gauze, but the crowd's cheers lingered, a fragile shield against the nightmare's weight. Upstairs James paced, phone buzzing with FAA updates, Knox's confession locking Hensley tight. "He's done, Marcus," James called, voice a steady anchor. Marcus nodded, sketch lines sharp, believing the pilot's cell was a grave, not a war room. Victor Hensley slouched in his cell, the precinct's hum a faint pulse beyond the bars, his smuggled burner warm in his sock, a lifeline past the guard's lazy eyes. The hitman's bust stung, Knox's 50 grand shot a miss, but Marcus's blood was still his prize. He'd texted Wade, the militia leader, hours ago, 100 grand and a jet dangled as bait. "Kidnap him from the safe house," he'd ordered, and Wade's crew struck at dusk, vans rolling silent through Dallas shadows, masked men primed with zip ties and gags. Hensley smirked, picturing the kid's terror. The rally's glow snuffed out. The basement door exploded inward, wood splintering as Wade's men stormed down, boots thudding, shadows swallowing the dim light. Marcus jolted up, notebook tumbling, heart slamming as a hulking figure barked, "Grab him!" Hands clamped his arms, zip ties biting his wrists, a gag muffling his scream as he thrashed, kicking air. James burst from the stairs, fist swinging, but a baton cracked his knee, dropping him with a groan. "Marcus!" he roared, lunging, but another blow sent him sprawling, blood trickling from his brow. The militia dragged Marcus up, his sneakers, scraping concrete, and hauled him to a van, tires squealing as they peeled into the night. Wade live-streamed on the dark web, Marcus's bruised face a trophy in the van's dim glow, zip ties cutting red into his skin, eyes wide above the gag. FAA big shot James Tate resign or the kid's gone, Wade growled, the feed spreading, a viral threat rippling through hidden corners. James staggered to his feet, basement empty, the notebook's torn pages a gut punch. His phone buzzed. With the stream, Marcus's terror glaring back and rage choked him. Bastards, he snarled, dialing FAA security. But the vans were ghosts, melting into Dallas's sprawl, Marcus a hostage in Hensley's game. Hensley grinned in his cell, burner buzzing with Wade's update. Got him. Resignations live. His pulse quickened. The abduction a masterstroke. James's FAA clout a ransom he'd bleed dry. The broadcast aired hours later, James at the safe house, voice breaking on Channel 5. I'm stepping down to save my son. The feed cut, and Wade's crew dumped Marcus on a roadside at dawn, zip ties sliced off, bruised but alive. He staggered to a gas station, legs wobbly, breath ragged, the clerk gaping as he rasped, "Call my dad." James rushed him, SUV skidding, hugging tight. "You're back, son." Relief flooding, the militia's demand met. Marcus sat in a motel, James beside him, the roadside rescue a shaky win, his sketchbook gone, but his spirit clinging. "It's over, Dad," he whispered, hands trembling as he traced a jet's nose on a napkin. Believing Hensley's grip had snapped. James nodded, eyes hard, plotting the pilot's end, unaware the real blow brewed. Hensley in his cell texted Vince, a tabloid hack, from his burner. "Tate kid's gang pass needs legs. Forge docs a spread it, 20 grand. Vince's reply pinged, "Dirt's my specialty. On it." Hensley leaned back, smirking. The abduction a feint. Marcus's name, the true target. A smear to reignite the hate. The tabloid story hit at noon, a screaming headline on sleazy newsstands and X. Marcus Tate, gang thug behind airport chaos. Forged docs flooded online. Grainy shots of a teen who wasn't Marcus flashing gang signs. Arrest records faked with typos but swallowed whole. Insider source says Tate's a dealer, not a dreamer. The article lied. Vince's 20 grand. Spinning gold from trash. Marcus saw it on James's phone, chilly, cooling, untouched, his stomach plummeting. "This ain't me," he croaked, the motel's thin walls closing in, the crowd's cheers drowned by fresh slurs. "Thug. Liar." X erupted, the smear reigniting the hate, posts flipping fast. "Knew he was scum," one read, racking up likes. "Fooled us all," another spat. Chaka gang Tate trending. Neighbors who'd cheered now sneered, a soda can clattering against this motel window, kids jeering, "Gang boy!" Marcus sank to the bed, napkin crumpling, the roadside rescue a hollow echo, Hensley's shadow stretching longer, darker. James slammed the table, coffee spilling. "Hensley's filth," he growled, dialing Rick at Channel 5. "We're fighting back, airing the truth." But the damage dug deep. Marcus's name a punching bag again. James's broadcast aired that night, live from the motel, his voice a thunderclap. "These are lies forged by Victor Hensley's hate. I've got flight logs, militia ties, proof he's behind it all." FAA hackers cracked Hensley's old routes, exposing drops for Wade's crew, and Rick's crew flashed them on screen. A damning web. The militia scattered, Wade's vans dumping gear in backlots, and X shifted, one Hensley lies trending, support trickling back. Marcus watched, sketching on a borrowed pad, the tide turning, feeling vindicated, the smear's sting, fading as cheers rose anew, thinking Hensley's cell was his endgame. Hensley saw it too, the precinct TV blaring James's proof, his smirk twisting to a snarl as he punched the wall, blood smearing. "Flight logs?" he hissed, the guard flinching, the tabloid hit unraveling, Marcus rising again. His burner buzzed, Vince texting, "Heat's on, laying low." Hensley's rage boiled, the militia bust a crack in his armor. But he wasn't finished. He faked a heart attack at dawn, clutching his chest, gasping as guards rushed him to the hospital wing. In the chaos, he slipped custody, a bribed orderly, swapping his gown, and texted an accomplice, a bomb maker named Dex. "Tate kid's school plant at 50 grand, finish him where it started." Marcus slept fitfully, the motel's hum a faint comfort. James's broadcast a lifeline he clung to, believing the smear was Hensley's last gasp. Dex moved at night, a wiry figure in gloves slipping past school security with a duffel, the bomb's timer a soft tick in the dark. Hensley hid in a safe house, burner buzzing with Dex's update. Set for tomorrow. He grinned, the abduction. And smear mere jabs, this blast the knockout. Marcus's blood a promise he'd keep even from the shadows. Marcus Tate sat on a sagging motel bed, the thin mattress creaking under his weight, his hands trembling as he scrolled through his phone, the tabloid headlines screaming in bold, "Marcus Tate, gang thug behind airport chaos." The Dallas morning. Light seeped through cracked blinds, glinting off the forged photos Vince had splashed online. A kid who wasn't Marcus flashing gang signs, fake arrest records piling lies on lies. His stomach churned. The chili James had reheated, cooling untouched. On a wobbly table, each slur a fresh cut. Thug, liar, gang boy. He'd been dumped on a roadside hours ago, zip ties off, thinking the abduction was Hensley's last gasp, but this smear hit harder, a noose tightening around his name. Victor Hensley smirked in his cell, the precinct's hum, a faint buzz beyond the bars. His burner phone tucked in his sock, warm from use. Vince's 20 grand hit had reignited the hate, ex-posts flipping fast. Knew he was scum, fooled us all. On Gang Tate trending like wildfire. The militia's abduction had forced James's resignation, but this was sweeter, Marcus's. Reputation a punching bag again. Hensley leaned back, boots scuffing concrete, picturing the kid's face as the world turned sour. The guard he'd bribed lingered nearby, eyes averted, the phone a silent pact, his next move already simmering. James slammed the motel table, coffee sloshing as he snatched Marcus's phone, the forged docs glaring back. "Hensley's filth," he growled, voice a low thunderclap, his FAA badge glinting on his belt despite the resignation. "They're swallowing this trash whole." Marcus sank lower, napkin crumpling in his fist, the roadside rescue a hollow echo. "Say it's not me, Dad," he croaked, the motel's thin walls amplifying the jeers outside, kids lobbing cans at the window, "Gang boy!" ringing through. James dialed Rick at Channel 5, barking, "We're airing the truth now. Hensley's behind this, and I've got proof." The tabloid story spread like a plague. Neighbors who'd cheered Marcus's rally now sneering from porches, a soda can clattering against the motel's siding, shattering the morning's quiet. Ex-posts piled. Up, he played us, racking up likes. The hate rekindled by Vince's lies a wildfire Marcus couldn't douse. He stared at the crumpled napkin, jet sketch smudged, the abduction's bruises throbbing under his hoodie. Believing the crowd's support was ash, Hensley's shadow stretching longer, darker, a beast he couldn't slay. James's broadcast, hit that night, lived from the motel, his voice a steel blade cutting the air. "These are forged lies, spun by Victor Hensley's hate. I've got flight logs, militia ties, proof he's the puppet master." FAA hackers cracked Hensley's old roots, exposing drops for Wade's crew, and Rick's crew flashed them on screen, a damning web of dates and chords. "He's a racist coward," James roared, "targeting my son for his skin, not his soul." The militia scattered, Wade's vans dumping gear in backlots, and X shifted. Hensley lies trending, support trickling back as posts flipped. Marcus is innocent. Hensley's the thug. Marcus watched, sketching on a borrowed pad, the tide turning, the smear's sting fading as cheers rose anew. Channel 5's views spiked, the flight logs a sledgehammer to Hensley's lies, and Lone Star Airways tweeted, "Investigating Captain Hensley's actions, full cooperation with FAA." James clapped Marcus's shoulder, pride in his eyes. "We're winning, son, he's buried." Marcus nodded, pencil steady, the motel's hum a faint comfort, feeling vindicated, the tabloid's venom draining as the crowd's roar rebuilt. His spine believing Hensley's cell was his endgame. Hensley saw it too, the precinct TV blaring James's proof, his smirk twisting to a snarl as he punched the wall, blood smearing across knuckles. "Flight logs?" he hissed, the guard flinching. The tabloid hit unraveling, Marcus rising like a phoenix from the ashes Hensley had sown. His burner buzzed, Vince texting, "Heat's on, I'm out." Rage boiled. The militia bust a crack in his armor, but he wasn't finished. At dawn, he faked a heart attack, clutching his chest, gasping as guards rushed him to the hospital wing, a bribed orderly swapping his gown in the chaos, letting him slip custody. Hensley bolted to a safe house, a dingy shack on Dallas's outskirts, the burner buzzing as he texted Dex, a wiry bomb maker with a rap sheet he'd buried years ago. "Tate kids' school, plant a bomb, 50 grand, finish him where it started." Dex's reply pinged. "Timer's set for tomorrow, done." Hensley grinned. The abduction and smear jabs, this blast the knockout, Marcus's blood a promise he'd keep from the shadows. He leaned against a sagging wall, the shack's stink of mildew a throne, picturing the school in flames, the kids' dreams a final pyre. Dex moved at night, a lean figure in gloves, slipping past school security with a duffel, the bomb's timer, a soft tick in the dark. Marcus's high school loomed, a brick sprawl quiet under moonlight, the gym's back door ajar from a janitor's smoke break. Dex wedged the device under bleachers, wires coiled like snakes, the timer glowing red. 12 hours. He slipped out, texting Hensley, "Set, tomorrow's big." Hensley exhaled. The safe house's silence a victory hum. Marcus's rally cheers a memory he'd erase with fire and steel. Marcus slept fitfully in the motel, James beside him, the broadcast's echo a lifeline he clung to, believing the smear was Hensley's last gasp. His arm throbbed, the bullet grazed a dull ache, but the sketchpad steadied him. A jet's tail fin taking shape, the crowd's support a balm. James stirred, phone buzzing with FAA tips, muttering, "He's cornered, son." Unaware Hensley had slipped the net. Outside, Dallas hummed oblivious. The school a ticking tomb, Dex's bomb a heartbeat counting down, Marcus's safety a mirage about to shatter. Marcus Tate stepped off the school bus, his sneakers scuffing the cracked pavement of Dallas High, the morning sun glinting off the gym's brick facade. His arm ached under a fresh bandage, the rally's bullet grazed a dull throb, but James's broadcast had turned the tide. Hensley's smear fading under the weight of flight logs and truth. He clutched a new sketchbook, donated by an FAA pal, its blank pages a promise of resilience, the crowd's cheers from the motel TV still ringing in his ears. Classmates nodded as he passed, whispers of "he's back" replacing slurs, and he felt triumphant. Hensley's cell a distant lock, the nightmare's end a breath away. Victor Hensley crouched in a safe house, the shack's mildew stink thick in his nose, his burner phone buzzing with Dex's update. Bombs live, gyms set. He'd slipped custody yesterday, the faked heart attack a key to freedom, and now the school blast loomed, 50 grand sealing Marcus's fate. His boots scuffed the warped floor, a grin splitting his weathered face as he pictured the explosion. The kid's dreams, a final pyre. James's resignation, the militia, the smear, all jabs. This was the kill shot, revenge for a grudge older than Marcus knew, a secret buried in ash and steel. Marcus pushed through the gym doors, the squeak of sneakers on polished wood, a familiar his first day back since the drug bust. The bleachers loomed, a maze of metal and shadow, and he dropped his bag, sketching a jet's nose cone as classmates trickled in for PE. The air felt heavy, a faint tick echoing in his skull, but he shook it off, chalking it up to nerves. James had reinstated his FAA post that morning, grounding Hensley's escape jet with a single call, and Marcus grinned, pencil steady, believing the pilot's claws were clipped, the sky his again. Dex's bomb crouched under the bleachers, wires coiled tight, the timer glowing red. 30 seconds. The gym filled, kids laughing, a basketball thumping, Marcus oblivious as he flipped a page tracing a wing. The tick grew louder, a heartbeat in the dark, and a janitor's mop clattered nearby, inches from the duffel. At 10 seconds, a coach shouted, "Tate, locker room now!" Marcus stood, bag slung, stepping away as the timer hit 0. A blast ripped through, shrapnel tearing the bleachers apart, fire blooming as screams split the air, the gym a chaos of smoke and blood. Marcus. Turf asphalt biting his palms, shrapnel missing him by inches as the explosion's roar deafened him. Glass rained, the gym's wall crumbling, kids scrambling, some limp on the floor. He coughed, ears ringing, blood trickling from a nick on his cheek, the sketchbook shredded beside him. Cops swarmed, sirens wailing, tracing the bomb to Hensley's. Burner via Dex's sloppy texts, the safehouse cords a glaring lead. James sped in, SUV skidding, leaping out to hug Marcus tight, soot-streaked. "You're alive, son," he rasped. Relief a flood. The blast a near miss. Hensley's endgame foiled. Hensley bolted from the safehouse, the news blaring on a stolen radio. School bombing. Tate survives. His grin vanished, rage boiling. As he kicked a crate, splinters flying. Dex's text buzzed. "Kid lived, I'm out." Hensley snarled, the 50 grand torched. Marcus's luck a taunt he couldn't stomach. Cops closed in, tires screeching as they raided the shack, cuffs snapping on his wrists. His escape jet grounded by James's call. Dragged to a squad car, he ranted, spittle flying. "That kid's mom was my co-pilot. Crashed 'cause of her. Kind he's next." The camera caught it, Channel 5 airing the confession live. Marcus sat in the ambulance, blanket draped, staring at the gym's smoldering ruin, his sketchbook's remnants ash under rubble. James gripped his shoulder, voice low. "He's caught, son. It's over." The confession hit, a gut punch, and Marcus froze, eyes wide. "Mom?" he whispered, the crash a shadow from his toddler years. A Boeing 737 nosedive his dad rarely spoke of, blaming ice on the wings. Lena Tate, his mother, dead at 28, a pilot Hensley had flown with, her black face a spark for his hate. The vendetta wasn't random, but personal, a grudge carved in grief and racism, rewriting Marcus's past in blood. James's face hardened, the truth a blade in his gut, Hensley's rant peeling back years of silence. "She was better than him," he said, voice breaking, and he blamed her for his mistake. "Ice my ass, he botched the controls." Marcus's breath hitched, the sketchbook's loss a pinprick next to this. His mom's wings a legacy Hensley had twisted into a curse. Cops hauled the pilot away, his snarls fading, but the revelation lingered, a scar on Marcus's soul, his dreams intact but heavier, tethered to a ghost he'd never known. Marcus Tate's journey is a raw testament to the crushing weight of racial prejudice and the unbreakable strength it takes to rise above it. From the moment Captain Victor Hensley wrongly branded him a thug, Marcus faced a relentless storm. Assault, false arrests, a torched home, a bullet graze, an abduction, and a school bombing, all fueled by one man's racist vendetta, rooted in a twisted grudge against Marcus's late mother, Lena. This wasn't just a fight for survival, it was a battle for dignity, a kid's dream of flying planes pitted against a system and a man eager to see him fail because of his skin. The lesson here cuts deep. Prejudice doesn't just wound, it weaponizes everything, law, media, even bombs, to silence those it targets. Yet Marcus's story shines with resilience. Each time he was knocked down, he stood up, pencil in hand, sketching jets through the chaos, backed by James's fierce love and the crowd's eventual roar. It's a reminder that justice, though slow, can prevail when truth fights back. Hensley's downfall came not from luck, but from relentless exposure of his hate. The shocking twist, tying his racism to Lena's crash, teaches us that bigotry often hides personal rot, festering into violence that spans generations. For every Marcus, there's a community that can lift or bury him, and this tale begs us to choose the former. So, what's your take? Can one person's courage really dismantle a web of hate like Hensley's? Drop a comment with your thoughts, hit like if Marcus's grit inspires you, and subscribe to catch more stories of triumph over tyranny. Share this if you believe justice deserves a voice. Thanks for sticking with us through this wild. Riti, may you soar past your own storms with the strength Marcus found in his wings.